My name is Lucas Campbell. Together with my friend Mia Miller, we discovered the truth. Monsters are real. Now, we're going on the search for them. After nearly getting eaten by a werewolf...
It wasn't a werewolf.
After nearly getting eaten by a wolf-like humanoid, Mia and I decided that it was finally time to get some better supplies. After spending a week researching products and another week actually running around to different stores, we were well equipped. Heavy-duty bear spray, motion-sensing cameras, night vision goggles, a buttload of camping supplies, a bunch of other odds and ends, and most exciting of all, a gas-powered dart gun. Basically, it looks like a pistol, but it shoots tranquilizer darts that inject on contact. Unfortunately, we're both lousy shots. We did spend a few days at a firing range, and we'll still need a lot more practice when we can make time for it, but it's a start. So, I'm thinking we should head up to Michigan next.
Oh yeah? And why is that?
Well, one of the guys from Monsters Den thinks he's got something.
Monsters Den?
That Cryptid message board.
Oh, right. Got it. So, one of your friends thinks they've got some cryptid activity?
Yeah. It's a long shot, even for us, but it's only a few hours' drive away, and we've got nothing else on the radar right now.
Sounds like a plan.
Next stop, Escanaba, Michigan, a small town on the coast of Lake Michigan.
Mashapashu? Mishapishu? Now you're just making up words.
No, Mishipeshu. Just don't ask me to spell it. There's like 40 different spellings of it.
All right, then. What is a Mishipeshu?
Well, translated, it means the Great Lynx. Alternatively, it's usually just referred to as the underwater panther.
I think I'll stick with Mishi. I take it the name is a native word?
Yeah, from the Ojibwe tribe. And get this, it's also called Gichi Anami Bishu, which means fabulous night panther. I love it.
I do like the sound of that.
Right?
So tell me about this fabulous Mishi.
Well, there's a fair amount of legend surrounding the Mishipeshu. Along with the Thunderbird, they formed a kind of yin-yang of opposing forces, caught in eternal conflict.
Okay.
They were said to be a mix of different animals, body of a cougar or a lynx, horns, body covered in scales, and a very, very long serpentine tail.
Oh boy. There are plenty of mammals with different kinds of horns and antlers, and even tusks. I guess a cat developing them wouldn't be the craziest thing ever. Now, the scales, though, that's interesting. If it does exist, I would guess that it's some kind of feline that evolved to live in more aquatic environments.
Oh, like how wolves evolved into whales?
Well, not wolves specifically, but yeah. What else?
Let's see. It's said that they live deep underwater and that they can cause storms. Before you say anything, I know. They probably don't actually cause storms. Just telling you what I found. The natives would leave offerings for the Mishipeshu so that they could safely cross lakes. I guess there's also a ton of copper in Lake Michigan, or at least there was, and Mishipeshu guarded against people taking it. Copper in general seems to be pretty important in the myths. Some descriptions even say that its scales are made of copper. And if you took copper from the island of Michipicoten specifically, you were stealing it from the Mishipeshu itself.
Copper, huh? That's one fancy cat. So, besides all these myths, are there any real sightings?
Okay, so... not really. I could only find one, and it's from the 1600s. Around that time, Jesuit missionaries had come to the area, and one of them, Claude Dablon, recorded an encounter. Supposedly, there were 4 members of the Ojibwe tribe who had gone to that Michipicoten island and gotten some big hunks of copper to bring back home for heating their water. I don't know why wood wouldn't have worked, but whatever. So they leave the island, and as soon as they do, they hear a voice screaming out across the water, accusing these men of stealing the playthings of his children. That's the wording it uses in every version of the story I could find. And then, one by one, each man died on their way back to the village. The last one lived just long enough to tell his fellow villagers what had happened.
That's the best sighting you could find?
I know. Like I said before we left, the chance of this being an actual cryptid case is pretty low.
Yeah. So we're going on the hunch of someone from this dragon's den?
Monster's den.
Right, sorry. But still, we're heading up there to investigate what is basically a mythological creature. Why?
Well, I guess a lot of pets and wild animals have been killed, mysteriously, in the past few months. Some of the bodies have been found with cat-like tracks nearby, but they're larger than anything native to the area. Also, all the tracks that have been found seem to lead back into the water. Like I said, I know, it's a long shot.
I'll say.
We reached Escanaba that afternoon. Once we were settled, we arranged to meet up with Cat Squatch 418, or, as he's known by his real-life name, David. David?
Hello.
Hi! It's so weird finally putting a face to a person you only know online.
Yeah, is this...
Oh, yes, how rude of me. So, this is Mia.
Hi there.
Hi. Just wanted to say, I've been listening to the podcast. You guys have had some very exciting encounters.
Right, the podcast. Thank you. So, Lucas says there have been a lot of animal deaths around town recently. You think Mishi, the underwater panther, is behind this?
I know how it sounds. There's always been a pretty fuzzy gray area between cryptids and mythological creatures, and Mishapeshu does seem to be more of a mythological creature. But it's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Because of the tracks?
Yes, but that's not all. So about 6 months ago, the town had to close down all the public beaches. There's this factory a few miles north of here, and it turns out they were dumping some really nasty stuff into the water. It was unsafe to swim in, and it was even killing fish.
So what does this have to do with...
Mishapeshu.
Well, I'd heard the legends growing up. We all have around here. So when I read about the tracks looking like a cat's and how they all lead into the water, it was the first thing I thought of. But it does kind of make sense. If the Mishapeshu is real, it's said that they live out in the deepest parts of the lake.
Which would explain why no one ever sees them, leaving them just a myth.
Exactly. And if this toxic waste is killing the food supply, Mishapeshu would have to venture out of its normal territory, swim up the Escanaba River, and then head out to look for some fresh meat. It's true that we do get bobcats and maybe cougars around here sometimes, but they usually stay away from town. I think whatever is doing this has gotten desperate, and I don't know of any aquatic creatures that would leave prints like it did.
Sounds good enough for me.
So, David, if we print up a map, can you help show us where any of the tracks or dead animals have been found?
Sure thing.
I guess our best bet is to assume that we're dealing with something like a large panther, which will make things difficult.
Why is that? Because big cats eat people?
They're certainly capable of it, but that's not what I was thinking. A lot of big cats are notoriously stealthy. This thing will probably be hard to find. I think the safest plan will be to set up the motion tracking cameras and see what we get. If any of the pictures turn out all f***ed up, then it could potentially be a cryptid. It's kind of late to get started tonight, though. Maybe tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow sounds good. We woke up bright and early the next morning. Well, kind of early. It's still bright out at 10 a.m., so we slept in a little, don't judge.
You know, I just don't think I'm feeling it today. Maybe we should give it another day?
We need to talk about this.
About what?
You're scared.
No, I'm not.
It's okay. I'm scared too. The werewolf, sorry, whatever it was. That thing was terrifying. And we were dumb about it. But I think facing danger is just going to be part of the job now. Like you said, we'll be smarter. We have to be. We can't just sit around scared for the rest of our lives, though. If your grandfather could do it, so can you. So, chin up. You're Mia Miller, damn it, and you can do anything you put your mind to.
Thanks. You're right about being scared. And about needing to get over it. Let's start planning this out, for real.
We set out that afternoon. If Mishapeshu did live far out in Lake Michigan, it must have been traveling upstream before coming out to hunt. So we were going to place motion-sensing cameras along the river in the areas where animal carcasses and tracks had been most frequent. How long should we give it?
Before leaving town? Maybe 2-3 days. If there is a creature as large as a jungle cat around here, it's probably coming out to hunt every night. If we don't find any sign of it by then, I don't think we're going to.
Sounds fair. Once the cameras were in place, we continued exploring the area. The forest was nice, but we didn't find any creatures, mythical or otherwise. The next morning, we returned to check the cameras.
I don't believe this. We may actually be onto something here.
We got a picture? Or I should say we didn't get a picture?
Yeah, the camera got set off a few times. Most of them are just birds and squirrels, but this one picture is all blurry. Let's check the rest.
We checked all the cameras, and every single one of them had been set off, multiple times. And at each camera we found an unidentifiable blurry picture.
Hey, Lucas. What time did we finish setting up the cameras yesterday?
Around 3:30, I think? Why?
This picture was taken at 3:38 yesterday. All of the blurry pictures, they were taken pretty much right after we set them up.
What are you saying? It was following us?
I think so. And we didn't hear anything.
You weren't kidding about big cats being stealthy.
Get the dart gun out, just to be safe.
You got it.
Let's head home for today. We'll check the cameras again tomorrow.
That sounds good.
Shit. Hold on a sec.
What is it?
I've got a bad feeling. Come back over here. Slowly.
Oh my god, it's huge. Wait, how did you know it was here?
Just my gut. It's okay, big guy. We're not here to hurt you. It's okay. Okay, just like we practiced. Shoot it. Perfect. It didn't feel a thing. Now just don't move.
That was amazing. Now what?
Well, first off, we're making sure we have enough sedative for the time being. Then, we're taking measurements and I'm doing a field sketch. After that, well, the creature is coming this far inland because the lake is polluted and it doesn't have any food out there. That's certainly not a problem we can solve. I think it's time to try relocation.
After making a few phone calls, we were able to rent a small trailer, the kind you transport horses in. And then, after a great deal of effort, we managed to move what felt like a literal ton of unconscious dead weight into the trailer. Before we left town, we reached out to David again. Have we got something to show you?
No way, no way. You really found it?
We found it all right. We're going to bring it somewhere where it has plenty of space to live and hunt without running into humans. Since you did give us the tip that brought us here, I thought showing it to you was the least we could do.
Alright, come take a peek through the window.
Funny. Real funny. So what's the deal? Is this whole podcast just some joke you've been playing on us?
What? No, it's... You really can't see it, can you?
There's nothing in there.
The fog.
Of course. I'm sorry you can't see it. I really am.
You guys are assholes. I'm out of here.
After deciding to never again show a cryptid to someone who we didn't already know was able to see them, we began driving north. Beginning just outside of Escanaba was the Hiawatha National Forest, which spanned both sides of that thin sliver of upper Michigan. While it bordered Lake Michigan on the south, like Escanaba, it also bordered Lake Superior to the north. With a vast area of fresh water and a lack of nearby towns, We hoped this would make a suitable replacement home for the Mishapeshu. Alright, how about here?
No, it's not quite right.
Not quite right?
For the Mishapeshu.
And why is that?
Just a gut feeling.
Alright, we'll keep driving. Okay, so is this good?
Yeah, perfect. Just remember to get behind the door once you open it.
Yep. Perfect.
Okay. Field notes, entry 4. So, to my surprise, it turns out the Mishapeshu is, in fact, a real creature. I feel pretty confident in saying most of its supposed supernatural abilities were just myths. We certainly didn't see any evidence of them, so I'll just focus on what we did observe. The Mishapeshu does appear to be a member of the feline family. A large member. We were able to take measurements while it was knocked out. It measured just under 4 feet tall at the shoulders, and it was 14 feet long altogether. Besides being a big cat, though, this thing is bizarre. I don't know what to make of it. Its paws were webbed, and overall, it kind of looked like a giant otter, so it definitely seemed suited for living in the water. Its fur was dark brown, almost orange. It had a small set of antlers, not as elaborate as a deer's, but still impressive for a cat. Along its back, it did have a series of bright orange scales, almost like a pangolin. I'm not surprised that they've been mistaken for copper, but overall, very different from any cat species on record. This was also the first time we saw evidence of the fog at work. Even with everything else we've seen, it's still hard to believe. I'd love to study its effects more if we get a chance. Anyway, now that the creature has been moved to a more uninhabited area, it should be able to return to its normal diet of fish. And hopefully, pets in Escanaba will stop being mysteriously killed and eaten. You know, I think this is the first time we really made a difference doing this. It feels good. And field notes.
The Cryptid Cases has been a production of Little Giant Monsters.
If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a review on iTunes.
If you'd like to follow us on social media, search for Little Giant Monsters on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Or visit littlegiantmonsters.com.
Visit our website or Facebook to see Mia's sketches the Monday after each new episode. If you have questions or comments, email littlegiantmonsters@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and see you again soon.